Hi, Joyce at Delightful Quilting and Sewing, a knolting dealer in Avon, New York. Well, today I'm finishing up a comfort quilt for the club that was started in class using QuiltMagine and experimenting with the point-to-point feature on it. And a couple of times my needle has had a hard time coming up getting started as it's starting. This is very unusual for the diamond machine because it is a very responsive needle. So the problem here is really my encoder arm needs to be exercised. So when this happens, and oftentimes when it happens, the encoder arm down here in the carriage, this is at the back of the machine. You can see this is the back of the machine here. The encoder arm that is in the back of the carriage, the encoder wheel rides up underneath this bottom rail, so it actually is pulled up against the underside of the top of the rail. And there's a spring here, of course, that kind of keeps it in that position. The problem is that over time, this encoder arm gets a little bit lazy and isn't making good contact with the surface underneath here. And when it does not make good contact with this surface underneath the back rail, you're going to get skip stitches, and encoder is not going to be firing stitches the way that it should. You may actually end up with some very long stitches going horizontally as you're quilting. So I know that this is the reason for the little lazy needle that I have right now because I haven't done this in quite a while. So to exercise this arm, and I can kind of get you to peek down in here, this silver thing right along here is the arm, and you can see that there's a spring here on the right hand side, and then this is attached to the carriage under here. And there's a hole right here where my finger is. You can put your finger down there and feel the hole. If you push your finger through that hole, you'll feel the encoder wheel. And this is just like the encoder wheel that's on the side of the machine. It's got a rubber O-ring on it, and it's got to make good contact with this surface just like the one on the side of your machine does. So when I have this issue and my needle gets a little bit lazy, and this can happen with any of the machines that have this encoder arm that rides inside of the frame here. So what I do is I come back here, and I want to be careful. I don't want to push on, this is the encoder electronics part here. I do not want to push on that. I want to push down on something that's a little bit more solid. So I've got my fingernail on the silver part here, but not on, and you can see me pushing that down. So I'm just basically exercising that spring a little bit, and I want to make sure that when I let go of that, it comes up and it makes good contact with that surface. So I can go over here on the end of this and just make sure that that has pulled up all the way and making good contact with that surface. So when your encoder wheels make good contact with a surface, you know that your encoders are going to be operating the way that they should be, and they'll be firing stitches at the right moment for the setting that you have it on. So the other encoder wheel, of course, is right down in there. And if I can tip the camera a little bit, you can see it down in there. And this arm here has a spring on it as well. It's a little different kind of spring that goes around the bolt here and fastens into this washer, and the other end of the spring is right here, and that has down pressure to pull this arm down so that the encoder wheel is pulled down into the bottom of this channel. Now, typically, this one is not an issue unless for some reason this gets bumped and it starts riding up on the edge of the rail or rail in there for some reason. So sticky stitches, especially when it's starting. And normally when it's starting, your machine should start stitching right away and should not be any issue at all. So that is the encoder that is found inside the back channel. So just to show you what the other one looks like, my other machine here. This is an older frame, about 2012, I think. This is the way they used to be. The encoder arm rode on top of, there was a little hole here cut out, and this back encoder rides on top of the channel in the back here. So this one was much easier to see if there was an issue because this one is on top. Again, this one has a spring that pulls it down. Typically, this kind of configuration for the back encoder is not a problem. But I have found that those that ride inside of the channel can be a problem from time to time, and I recommend exercising that back encoder arm on that type of carriage on a regular basis. So that's it for today. From here, just a little reminder, one more thing to kind of take notice of, and this is what I'm working on here, practicing with point to point, which I'll show you at some time. Have a great day and a great week quilting. I'll see you again soon.